I think, I speak from experience, when you're a kid and you're acting in movies, I think it's an adult world. And if you know how to act at all, then, you know how to behave like somebody of a certain age. But deep down inside, he is who he is at the age that he is. And he can't help but show that, which I think is what's so lovely about him. And I think that's a big part of being that age, is definitely sort of pretending like you're older. And if you're an actor, you can convince people a little bit more than normal. But he's a wonderful kid inside. I mean, I think that I have lost in many different ways. People who are very close, people who aren't, people who I had assumed were closer, had assumed I had meant more or they had meant more. And I think what's beautiful about this movie is that there is no judgment on those feelings. And so, yeah, I think movies about, I think, loss or grieving tend to be about how close the connection was and how hard it is to lose. But sometimes I think fate walks in and we're not so sure of how we felt while we were living and then once someone's gone. And that's what's so interesting about this film. To me, it's an unconventional way of looking at loss. It's a way in which your main character is not fully redeemable, not totally relatable, but in some ways, because he's not totally relatable, I think he can be more related to, if that makes sense. And also, as a result, there's a great opportunity for awkwardness and humor. And that's what's nice about this movie. I hear often from people, if I've said, oh, this movie, what happens? Oh, well, it's this guy whose wife dies, and they go, oh, that's going to be so. And I always go, actually, it's funny. And they go, what? And there's that first moment when you're in the theater watching it where you laugh and you go, oh, should I be laughing at this? And I think that is what this movie's about, is that there are many different feelings, and there should be many different feelings when you're dealing with loss, but also when you're deciding to live yourself. Well, I think with Jean-Marc, the process of his movie is also the experience of his movie when you watch it. So you can definitely feel that process of discovery because you never really know where you're moving to. And the same thing goes for shooting the film. We were on set on the 55th floor of the building in the financial district in Lower Manhattan. And, we were sort of getting to the end of our day, and I remember him turning to me and saying, it's time to dance. And I was like, what? And he grabbed an iPod and earphones and he handed them to me, and we took the camera with us down the stairs. We have a very small crew, and he started filming, and he said, put the earphones on, and I started dancing, and we walked through a huge crowd of commuters coming the opposite way, and then we just started dancing around Manhattan. And that was out of the middle of nowhere. So things like that happen all the time with him. Obviously, he, even in the demolition scene when we're destroying things, that was just key for that. He built an entire space to be destroyed. And everything in the drawers, everything in the cabinets, the shelf, everything was in there to be destroyed. So yeah, you never knew what you're going to get when you open. I loved also with him, this is a microcosmic example of his movie making. The drawers were always filled with something interesting. Yeah. And what we pulled out, what we decided to destroy, there was always something interesting. And there was always something interesting in the fridge. And he puts clues everywhere. And that always opens opportunities for discovery.